film. Authoritative, definitive, the original.
I have given a name to my pain. The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. You don't really think you'll win, do you? I'm Batman.
You are listening to episode 131 of the Batman on Film podcast. My name is Justin Kowalski. I will be your host today, but I am not alone in the Batman on Film cave. I have two great Batman on Film contributors with us today. You have heard him before. His name is Mr. Eric Holzmann, and he reviews Suicide Squad and does a lot of other op-eds on the site. Eric, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. It's a little chilly out here in New York, but that's what happens this time of year. So it's starting to get cold. We had a little snow yesterday. I'm sorry, not yesterday, Wednesday. So it's been crazy, but
sounds like you're lost in time because of the snow.
Kind of does throw you off. Look, you think it should be December, but it's actually November. So
it's you know what? It's a great BOF trope on the shows to talk about the weather.
That's true.
It's currently 60 degrees here in Southern California, so I'm freezing.
Yeah, you want to switch? Anytime you want. And I'm sure our next guest can speak about the cold as well. So
dude, you guys are both just so adorable.
All right, so for our first time on the Batman on Film podcast, but not someone who doesn't contribute. You contribute more than Rick Shue, by the way. So, Garret, Grev, how you doing, man? You review.
I'm great, guys.
Here's what I love: that you review Teen Titans, the comic for the site.
Yep. And
this is the best one: Injustice 2 versus He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Dude, it's so great. It's such a crazy book, and it's I think it's rad that Bill lets me review it because it's like tangentially Batman, but I'm a huge He-Man fan.
Yes.
And Masters of the Universe, I'm a big dork for it. It just is like the perfect combination of the things I love the most. It's Superman, Batman, and He-Man, and I get to write about it for BOF, so it's a real pleasure.
It's funny because when we were like looking to expand our reviews, that was the book. You're like, yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah,
people are like, Justice League, can I do Harley Quinn, I'm like, can I do Injustice versus He-Man? Like, what?
I'm not sure you guys were planning on covering it, but could I please write this? Thank you.
Yeah, but it might be like a niche thing. I don't know anyone else who is, so maybe we,
there we go.
We cornered the market.
The people at DC are like, finally.
I was trying to figure out if anyone was reading the review, so I went to the site and looked at the number of views, and it's up there with some of the core titles. So there's got to be some other 35-year-old men that are trying to relive their youth out there with me.
They're like, He-Man.
Yeah, right.
Hey, cool. I grew up with He-Man, so
I love me some He-Man, dude.
Yeah, all right.
So, dude, speaking of He-Man, this is totally a tangent, but you can go on Amazon and get these cool DC He-Man inspired figures now. They have like these like Batman, like if he was part of He-Man and the Masters, same mold, like the big bold legs and stuff.
My wife's gonna be so mad that you told me that.
Dude, I saw them like from Comic-Con. I was like, what the heck? I want to get. They have like all the characters you want. They have them. They're all these like sorcerer battle guys. They're all it's like Batman and Green Lantern and Joker. Oh man, they're freaking rad. I want to get one right now.
There goes a bunch of money.
There you go.
Space.
Sorry.
Merry Christmas to me.
Right. Well, I should mention you guys were talking about the cold. So I'm up in Minnesota, just a suburb outside Minneapolis,
Don't you know?
We've had snow since October on and off. So which is pretty standard. But we had some of our first snow like halfway through the month, and we got like 3 inches, 2.5 inches. It didn't all stick around last night. So that will be like this until April. So that's the Minnesota life.
There you go.
Crazy.
So, hey, here's what's really cool. Fun fact: I've got to hang out with both of y'all in person.
Yeah, that's true. You're the only one.
Power of BOF.
Yeah.
So
that is true. Very
something
true.
Nice. So Garrett's supposed to be out here in January, so hopefully we get to hang out again.
Yeah, I get out there for work every once in a while, and we were able to meet up a couple trips ago and had a real nice time, meet some people in real life. IRL, as the kids say.
IRL. So Anywho, let's get into business. This is, again, episode 131 of the Batman on Film podcast. You can go to our website at www.batman-on-film.com to check out all these articles we've been talking about and more shows, the vlogs and everything. Go there, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm, or you can sign up, be a contributor to the show, make this show even better. So we will give you some sweet prizes and rewards for signing up. We have stickers and buttons and shirts and everything else. And we are planning to make our Patreon even more Patreonistic. So you just wait, BOFers. So we'll have some exclusive shirts for you as well as you sign up. That's the only way to get it. And some exclusive content coming for you. So I'll give you a little bit of a hint. I think we are going to just do a kind of a running gag for Christmas, but I think we're just going to do another Batman Returns commentary. We did one last year, and I think it just might be fun to do another one. It's kind of a Christmas tradition, so there you go. That will be coming, but it'll be an exclusive to the Patreon. So you heard it here first.
No one ever discussed that, right? Like the ongoing debate is whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Like you see that all over social media all the time. How come no one's totally. How come no one's bringing up if Batman Returns as a Christmas movie? I think that needs to be a point of debate.
I think it is, man. At the end, man, you just, goodwill towards men and women. I'm like, oh, Christmas right there. Give me a candy cane and some hot chocolate, man, because it's Christmas. Because Penguin is flinging goo.
Yeah, nothing says Christmas like murdering infants.
There you go. All right. Hey, it's kind of true, man. Like, if we go back to the old times, there was a king looking to murder all the infants, much like Penguin. There you go. So, all right. Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive, the dadgum original. And today we're going to talk about some Batman news, some Aquaman news, some Titans, and a few other fun things. And just for, hey, hope you're listening to this as you're driving to work or hanging out. Maybe you're shoveling snow with Garret. I don't know. So, all right, Eric's like, I'm not shoveling nothing, man. I'm just staying in. I don't know what day it is. Sure.
No. I think it's Saturday.
All right.
Sure.
So here's some news. Amazon Prime is making it possible for you to watch Aquaman a week early for a premium price. How do you guys feel about that? Does that excite you, or do you like, I'll wait?
No, man. I think so. Like, I don't know that it's something that would make me go and get Prime if I already didn't have it. But having Prime, I'm jazzed, man. I will try to make that happen. So they're just partnering with certain theater chains. So that's the thing I'm going to have to check out around here.
Yeah. I don't know the cost. I think it's a premium price though. I don't think it's like a regular movie ticket. I think it's like $30 or something like that. I don't have all the info. I just.
Well, here in New York, some tickets are close to that price anyway. So.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, if you go see like a IMAX or one of those a 3D IMAX, or it can be like around $23.
Oh, okay. Well, I can see for the one like the 40X that move and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean,
man. Those have always sounded awesome. We don't have one of those in Minneapolis yet, but we do have some premier theaters where it's you can get bar service or food or whatever, and like the super nice recliners with call buttons and stuff. And those are like $23 too. So if it's one of those for $30, yeah, sign me up. I'll go for sure.
Dude, I would love to see Aquaman in 40X. Dude, they just be pouring water on you the whole time. They just come out soaked. How was Aquaman? It was awesome. Crazy.
I don't know. I couldn't see it. There was just water. All I saw was water the whole time.
This was a terrible idea. 40X.
It sounded great.
Because they can't just pour mist on you.
Well, I have a friend who, I forget what he went. He went to see a movie where there was like water, and that's what they did. Like mist came out in those experiences that water was like shooting. Like, of course, the chair's moving, whatever, when they're doing other things in the film. But he said, he's like, there was mist. I'm like, get out of here. He's like, no, they actually do that.
What about with sand? Like when he's walking through the desert, are they going to start shooting? You're going to just come out a mess, dude.
If you stand up at that point, it'll feel sandy.
Don't wear white to see Aquaman. That's all I'm saying.
It's after Labor Day anyway. I mean, who would do that?
So, how are you guys thinking right now? Did you guys watch that? Well, I know Eric did. Did you see it, Garrett? There was that little behind-the-scenes promo about earlier last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched it when it came out, and then I knew we were going to talk some Aquaman, so I watched it this morning. And actually, I had my little guys with, and I showed them the extended trailer, and then we watched the behind-the-scene things. And so my boys are 6'3" and almost 2, 1.5. So like the young guy for sure has never seen Star Wars before, but the older boys haven't seen Star Wars yet either. But they love Star Wars stuff. And my oldest literally said to me, he goes, "Dad, it's like if Star Wars happened underwater." I'm like, yeah, bud, I think that was the intention, but really good for you to pick that up. That's proud dad moment.
Yeah. Don't show him episode 1.
Yeah, no. Eric and I had that conversation one time. I'm going to start with A New Hope.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Good job.
Yeah, I think you should do it that way. Even though, like I said, the only not to go off on a Star Wars tangent. I don't want to piss anyone off, but the only reason why it might be okay to show him that is because it's a little boy. Like episode 1's a little boy, so he he might be able to relate a little better. But no, I would show it the way most of us saw it. So.
Chronologically.
Yeah.
But they were thrilled. They haven't gotten to see, a lot of the DC movies because they've just been too adult. And so I think I will try to see this as early as possible because I'd like to see if I could take the older boys to this because it seems like it's going to be, fun action adventure. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of sweet fight scenes, but the tone that I'm getting from it feels like it could be more accessible to more ages, which I think is a really smart move.
Yeah, I hope so. Eric, where are you at right now with Aquaman?
Well, of all of us, I think I've been the one championing it the most from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy that we're finally getting there. Like it's almost here, and I know the early box office projections weren't the best. I did see that when they came out. I think it's September. The early box office didn't look good, but that's apparently changing with all the early screenings that people have seen.
Yeah.
So I just can't wait for it to come now. I'm finally to the point where, okay, let's just get there. I want to see it. Yeah. And I might be reviewing it, so we'll see.
Yeah. How do they do this like early box office projections thing? Because I mean, they don't have mind readers. They don't know. They don't know what people want to see. Unless
I know some of what goes into it is the number of views that a title has on IMDb or look aheads on Fandango or something.
Right.
But those numbers they varied so wildly. I mean, when Jurassic World came out, it was projected to be like, oh yeah, people, this will be a decent hit, and then it came out and broke all the records at the time for the first weekend. So I just don't think it's not a great science, the forecasting they have behind it.
Yeah,
anything could change.
Yeah, and Wonder Woman didn't have good ones either. Didn't have good early box office. And look, I mean, that was a movie that obviously grew as more people saw it, and that is always going to be what really pushes it. The people like us who are going to see it regardless, telling the mainstream people, go see it. It's really worth it. It does justice to the character. I think that's what it goes off of more than anything else once the movie obviously comes out.
And the closer you get to opening, the studio does a good job about releasing what their expectations are, and they're normally pretty conservative. So, what they come out with probably 2 weeks in advance will be really telling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So a lot of but there is kind of a positive buzz on it from even the people that they can't say anything, but there's a lot of like hinting in their tweets and stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for it, man. It's interesting because we're kind of a few days removed from a year of Justice League coming out last year. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have been posting their reflections and like, here's what I thought when it came out and where they are now. And I was kind of thinking like, man, is that going to have any like, I don't know, negative impacts on Aquaman? Like, I don't know. Usually anniversaries of movies don't really mean much unless it's like the 20th anniversary of whatever. But like a year later, you're kind of like, man, we're just in a whole different climate of these films. And excuse me, even knowing what's DC doing?
Yeah, it's, for me, I saw some of those posts too, and a lot of people talking about how they were bummed out, and I'm still over on my island with a few other people going like, I had fun with that movie. I enjoyed it. I obviously know its flaws, and we don't need to get into all that because the show's covered it a bunch. But I had some buddies from work that they're into kind of blockbuster movies, pop culture stuff in general, but they're not us, right? They're not this subset of diehard fans that are really invested and track these things, down to the minute detail before they come out and discuss them ad nauseum. But they're like, yeah, man, so this Aquaman movie's coming out. That looks really fun. I'm definitely gonna go to that. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool, man. You think that looks good? And they're like, yeah, I like Momoa in Justice League. That was a blast. So, yeah. Like, I think the general public obviously did not love Justice League, as evidenced by the box scores and the cinema score and everything else, but or box office, I mean. But I think there is a number of people that liked enough parts of it that will be down for this, and Momoa is one of those parts.
Yeah, and then let's just be really honest about it. It's gonna bring, I think it'll bring more women than usual too, because of Jason Momoa. And
All right.
you know,
hunk.
I'm just saying, women love this guy, so
Yeah.
you know, I think that's gonna help them as well. Where a guy might be like, "Oh, I want to go see Aquaman with their girlfriend or wife," and normally they'd be like, "Yeah, I don't want to see that," but they're like, "Oh, he's in it? Sure, I'll go."
Yeah, right.
I was talking to. I brought this up. I don't know if it was on our thread that we have, but I was talking with like 5 dudes a few weeks, almost a month ago now, and we were just talking about movies that were coming. Oh, you gonna go see the movies? And they were like, "When's Aquaman come out?" And I was like, "Oh, you know." My spider sense went off because I was like, "Oh, you want to talk about Aquaman?" And I was like, "Yeah, it comes out December." I was like, "Oh man, I'm pumped for that." And it was like, just these aren't comic guys. And I was like, "Oh, did you see Justice League?" They're like, "Oh, they didn't see it in the theater." They said they watched it on like video, and they're like, "Oh yeah, dude, it was awesome. They liked it." And I was like, "Really?" And the funny thing was, I was asking them like, "So what'd you think about, you know?" I always go to like, "What'd you think about Superman?" and all this stuff, and they like, "Why was he dead?" They didn't remember he died in BVS.
Yeah.
Which was really funny. They're like, "Oh, he died, huh?" Like that was like,
oh yeah, that's right. And then it had the dirt and that was weird. It was just sort of like moving on. I had a couple of buddies too that have seen it recently that are not comic guys. They rip on me all the time for being into kid stuff. I'm like, dude, this is not kid stuff. You should check it out.
Not anymore.
Yeah, one of my buddies travels for work, and he's like, you know, it was an option on the plane for an in-flight movie, and I watched it. He's like, it wasn't half bad. He was like, this one seemed kind of goofy compared to, you know, he had seen the Nolan Batman movies. He's like, they're definitely doing it goofier than they used to, but it wasn't terrible. You know, I get why you like it.
yeah.
No, like that's what I've always maintained. It from the beginning. I said it's just a fun movie, and it really is. A lot of it's ridiculous, yeah, of course, but it's fun. And either you can do that and say, okay, I know this could be better, but still I enjoyed it, or you're one of those people who say, I know this could be better, and this sucked, and I don't want to watch it again.
Yeah. My kids love it, man. It's still
right.
It's still. I mean, they play with the action figures last night. They took them to dinner with us, you know. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Plus, they made some really sweet figures for it.
Yeah, you know, toys are, you know, it's still a thing. So, all right, so Aquaman, I'm excited for it. Let's go watch it. I don't know if I'm gonna jump on the early screening but you just kind of got my wheels turning. I might try to go see it at the 4DX though, man. That would be, I've never gone, but that would be the one to see it for, man. Like, if I'm gonna have like that experience, like I don't want to go see A Quiet Place. Because they'll just,
oh my gosh,
I don't know how that's gonna work, but let's go watch. They'll like turn all the sound off or something. I don't know how they're gonna do it in there, but go see Aquaman. That's gonna be a crazy. You're gonna get your money's worth. So I may go do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that probably would be worth it. I could imagine. Yeah.
You know, thinking about just back a second to what we think like the audience makeup for Aquaman will be. You know, I think Momoa will draw in some female viewers, people that are into Momoa in general. But what they're doing with Mira in these trailers could really bring in a female audience too. I think they positioned her as a really strong character and a partner for Aquaman, as opposed to like, oh, I have to see, like, if I'm a woman or a girl going to see this movie, and the character that's the female character in the movie that I might relate with the most is the damsel in distress that Aquaman's going to save. Maybe that's not a draw, but like if I'm seeing Mira and she's, you know, totally BA, and she's out there with Aquaman, you know, kind of on his level, and even teaching him some stuff, that could really pull in some female viewers too. So it'll be interesting to see what the mix is.
That's a good point. That really is. I wonder if they even can go a step, like, let's say the first week it's a hit and it's like huge and people are like, dang, I really like Mira, you know, if they even tie it into some like, you know, first there was Wonder Woman, now there's Mira, and she's just like, you know how sometimes they do stuff like that.
Yeah, man, they could pivot some of the marketing in that direction for sure. If the breakup is anywhere close to like 50-50 male to female, or even if it's in the high 40s, mid 40s for women, you will definitely see them highlight that in marketing.
Yeah, DC. I mean, they're doing a good job at representing their ladies, you know, especially with like Birds of Prey coming out like whatever in 2 years. Like,
and how about in a couple years when we get the quote unquote Batgirl film, they do they do all three of them. Wonder Woman, Mirror, and Batgirl in a movie against the Birds of Prey.
And Supergirl.
There we go. That's it. I gotta start writing it. I'm gonna write though. I'll write the
Right,
script.
dude. That'd be great.
They
I'd go see
need
it.
you, Eric.
That's who we're missing. That's the golden. You
That's
are
it.
Kevin Feige that we're missing.
Hey, I'm telling you, with the women empowerment thing going on, I think it would do well.
Yeah.
I think it would.
I believe so. All right, let's jump over to some of the TV stuff, and then actually let's jump over to movies. We didn't get to talk about. Speaking of Birds of Prey, Ewan McGregor has been cast as Black Mask.
Yes.
That's freaking cool. I think.
Wow, dude, that's so awesome.
That was
That's
a get
great.
right there, because
Yes.
That's a big pull for them.
Yeah, because I mean, you're like, okay, this movie's happening. It's actually a movie that's it has a director and a release date and all this type of stuff. So that's a big deal. And so for them to go, hey, Ewan McGregor, Black Mask, pretty great. So
I mean, he's a. And what it tells me, and who knows, because he's an actor's actor. He can do whatever they want him to do. But I think it informs a little bit about what they're going to do with the character in this universe. Because I sort of had in my mind they'd get like a John Barenthal type, and kind of play into the kind of rough gangster a little bit more. But
Right.
McGregor could bring a little bit more finesse to the role than I think people could see coming.
Yeah.
And Black Mask is a terrifying villain when he's done right, and he's intelligent. So
Yeah.
I hope they kind of move in that direction with the portrayal a bit.
yeah.
No, not to throw any shade on John Barenthal. I love him. He's great.
Yeah,
His
no,
story-
I get what you're saying.
And his development story, his backstory kind of starts one way and then he becomes something else. So I think, I think Ewan McGregor can actually do that very well. So depending on how they write the character in the movie, but I think he can actually, like you said, he's an actor's actor, so he could kind of go take it from the soft to the more gruff.
Right.
Yeah. He
Portrayal.
actually makes me more interested in Black Mask. I'm not a huge Black Mask guy. Like, I can, take him or leave him, because I think it is because there hasn't really been definitive, Black Mask stories. It's kind of...
The Arkham games.
Yeah, well, the Arkham games, yeah. But then, I think, the Red Hood story when he came back, that was, my biggest, that's the most memorable thing I can think about with Black Mask.
Yeah.
What always comes to mind for me is I can't remember what issue number he debuted in, but the cover had a picture of him, and the kind of word blast on the cover said in the 60s we had the Joker, in the 70s there was Ra's al Ghul, and now a villain for the 80s, Black Mask. And I was like, what is such a weird way to promote this dude for his first appearance?
Kind of fits, though.
He's
Yeah,
like, hi, I'm the Black Mask.
Yeah. I'm totally 80s. Check out my members only jacket.
Come on. Oh, man. That would be the way to do it, man. You got to 80s him out.
Yeah, everybody loves the 80s right now. They're doing,
dude.
Wonder Woman 84.
Black Mask 88.
It didn't quite work out for X-Men Apocalypse, but otherwise.
Yeah, that was a miss.
Yeah. But going back to Ewan McGregor, he makes me excited for Black Mask, and I'm glad he's going to be in this movie. It kind of, going to go see it regardless, but it makes it more interesting to me. Oh man, they're going to getting an actor of that caliber. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the whole Birds of Prey thing play out. A lot of people think that, this is going to be a bad girl team. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think Harley is on the team. If that was my guess, maybe the Birds of Prey are Oracle, not Oracle, she won't be in the movie, but Black Canary, and it'll be Huntress, and I don't know if Harley's on the team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't know it. We don't know a ton about the relationship dynamics. I think there's been some assumptions, with the girl gang term that Margot Robbie's using a lot, but we don't know how they're going to interact or how it starts out compared to how it ends. So I'm really interested. These movies already have my money, but this one has piqued my interest the more that's come out.
The only thing that bugs me about it is that it's going to be rated R. I'm like, oh man, there's an opportunity to do something where more people can see it, have more eyes on it. But if they're going to go R, I guess they have a reason to. I'm just thinking, in my head, I think it's a bad move. As you're trying to build a universe that people can be, make it accessible to people. Not that Harley Quinn is a role model, but it could be a fun character for kids to, not kids, but maybe teenagers to go watch. I'm just thinking like, man, you're gonna have Black Canary. That's another awesome character, and Huntress. Like, you know, the more eyes on these types of characters, the better. But
right,
whatever.
and for you're right. Younger girls, especially early teenage girls, maybe too. You know, you kind of might want them to actually see them because, like you said, Black Canaries are a very cool character and someone that a little girl again could be like, you know, oh wow, look, there's another female superhero in a movie. Yeah, that'd be great. But they're clearly trying to go one direction with this story. Yeah. So, I mean, that's true. You know, you gotta. During production they'll be like, you know what, let's scale it back. We'll make it PG-13. Who knows? But yeah, I see what you're saying. I honestly think that it might be a little better if they did do something more
unless
PG.
Black Mask is like, you know, pretty messed up in what he does, and you know they can definitely go. I can see that. You know, I don't want to be like it needs to be PG-13 for this sake, but it depends on the story. I think it comes down to like what story are you trying to tell, and
right.
Well, I mean, it's the early line was it's a abduction of a little girl, right? So yeah, you know,
it's supposed to be Cassandra Cain, right?
Right, yeah, Cassandra Cain. So we'll see where they go with it, but you know, it hasn't even started filming yet, so
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
So all right, so other than that, let's move over to TV. We're gonna first of all let's talk about Lex Luthor. So they've cast Lex Luthor for Supergirl. I know that's Eric's favorite, right? That's your favorite?
Oh yeah.
I think Pete and Ryan watch it, but
yeah, Pete loves it, right? He's the one that I always see that's loving up that show and talking about it all the time.
Yes, that is his show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he loves that show. I dip in here and there, like I'll watch it for the crossover that's coming up because I'm interested in that. But other than that, I'm like, Supergirl's kind of it's hit or miss for me. But again, they just keep tapping. What I do like is they do tap into like the legacy of DC actors and the Superman mythos. You know,
right?
And if you've been on a Superman show, we were talking off air about like Superboy. Like you may have a job coming up.
You might. Well, John Cryer's been working, but like some of these other guys, like I don't know what they did. Like I don't know what some of these actors that they brought back have done since the last thing that I saw them in that was probably DC related.
Yeah.
So it could be some dudes that haven't been working a lot lately that get a gig for a while, which is pretty sweet.
Right. So I do think it's interesting that it's, you know, because they kind of played up like, oh, we have an actor for Lex, and it's going to be, you know, people are going to love it. And people are like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Michael Rosenbaum and all this other stuff? And ends up being freaking Lenny Luthor from Superman 4.
Yeah, right?
Hey,
I hope he wears the
Lex.
jacket.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, dude. Actually, out of Superman 4, I thought Lenny was funny. I mean, it's definitely era specific.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mind Lenny. Out of the whole movie, like, he was the least of my problems. Like, I can dig him. He fit the tone, but you know.
I mean, well,
where's my Lenny Luthor action figure? Where's my
well, you have that connection to that movie, like you said. He's a name that people know. That he was on 2.5 Men for years, and that was a big hit show, so people know him. So, I mean, if people aren't watching Supergirl, they might say, "Oh, John Cryer's on. Let me give it a shot." Mm-hmm. You know, and then you bring him in. So. But you're right. They are tapping into a lot of the legacy characters from the other shows, which is cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's me. I don't watch Supergirl, and you know, I see her in the crossover episodes because I tune in for those. But the Arrowverse stuff hasn't been my bag for a couple seasons. Yeah. But this will be enough to pull me back in. So I think it's smart.
Yeah, I've been watching the last few episodes of Flash and stuff, just because people have been saying this season's been good. Last season I didn't like. So I'm like, okay, let's get in. I came in. I was like, what the heck's going on? Why has everybody got powers? So I've been asking people like, well, you know, how do I catch up? But I'm really excited for the crossover stuff, and you know, talking about, you know, legacy. Like, I love that they got. It's funny, John Wesley Shipp, like, he's been on Flash now, like, you know, since season 1 or whatever, and he's been in every role. He's been like, you know, the dad. He's been Jay Garrett. And now he's gonna be, you know, Barry Allen again. Like, it's like you have to let that part of your brain go. Like, you just look like everybody. Everyone looks like you in the future or other worlds. But I love that they're bringing the '90s version back. Like, they're tying that in.
that suit, I was like, when the promo shots came out for that, I was so thrilled. Like, I was like, that suit is just a little slice of my childhood.
Yep.
You know, it's post Batman '89 was like, oh, we're gonna do stuff with comic properties. I think it was on CBS because it was one of the only channels that we got living out in the middle of the woods. And that show was just like, I was thrilled. I felt like it was made just for me. Couldn't have had a happier, like 9-year-old Garret.
Yeah, dude, that show was so hard to watch though, because they kept. I remember they kept changing it. Like when it was on Sunday or Thursday or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like, how could I watch this show? And so then it was done, and I remember there was one episode. This is totally like not planned, but there was an episode where there was an evil Flash, but instead of him being yellow like Reverse Flash, they made him blue, and I never. Like little guy Justin was like, why did they make him blue? Like why did you make him yellow?
You had that right there. That's weird.
Like, yellow doesn't play well on TV, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe it was just one of those things where you're like, I get it as a kid, like,
right? Yeah,
it's one of those things where like general audiences won't get this. We gotta make them blue.
Yeah, it's right in front of you though. I mean, just do that. This thing's already established.
No,
you could just do that.
When you guys put this show together, did you look up anything? I don't know, man.
Like there's an evil Flash in the funny books. What?
Yeah. Let's make him blue. Why wasn't he blue?
Yeah.
He's literally inverted of all the colors that Barry Allen has.
Yep.
Nope.
That's true.
Anyways, I love that show, and stuff like that I think that's the stuff that's really fun to celebrate. And you can't really do that stuff in the movies. I don't think it would play off well, but TV is a great way to incorporate like your history and the stuff the fans. The winks and the nods work way better on TV. I think it can be appreciated more. Yeah,
it's a serial, so you can do that. In a serial, and movies are one-offs usually, right? So it's harder to do that. But if it's a serial and you're like, I'm watching him, he'll be back again, and he'll be back again, and he'll be back. You get attached to it, and it reminds you of your childhood, or some of us were a little older, maybe. It's still my childhood. I'm not that old, but there are other people.
Still a child.
There are other people who might have been older, and they say, "Oh yeah, I remember the Flash show," and they'll see John Wesley Shipp's Flash suit and be like, "Oh wow!" So I'll watch. Again, it's a good way to pay homage to that and to bring new people in to the show.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun, man. I really can't wait. It's coming fast, dude. Like 3 weeks, we'll be watching that thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've loved Arrow this year. Arrow's been great for me. So I've stuck. That's the one show I've stuck with the whole time. I haven't really watched The Flash since the middle of last season. I kind of gave up on it. I don't watch Supergirl. I haven't. I tried. I'm sorry, Pete, if you're listening. I'm sorry. I tried. I just can't get into it. Ryan too. I know you make fun of me all the time about it, but I can't. I just can't do it. That show is terrible acting. I don't like where they're going where they go with the storylines.
I think she's really good.
I just don't like it. She's okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Melissa
I think she's great. There's just so many things in there where I'm like, and I don't know if it's because the roots they started on CBS, and they had to like carry certain things out. But like, one thing I don't like, and they kind of did this on Arrow, and it looks like they've been doing it on Flash, is like everybody's a superhero now. Which once like now Jimmy Olsen is the Guardian, and I'm like, why does he need to be the Guardian? Like, if you want to advance that character, like he has a path, and his path could be like being the editor of like, the newspaper or whatever. That's the world he's in, and like I think that gives him a lot more things to do. But forcing him into the role of a superhero seems weird. Like if everyone is special, then Supergirl's no longer special.
Well, that's also kind of why I liked Arrow this year, because they've kind of pulled back on that. Yeah. Right? It's been a lot less about all the heroes. I mean, Felicity aside, who just cries all the time now. I told her they should just make her a villain or hero called the Crier, and she just floods people to death.
I don't know why they lean into that so hard. I don't know why they do that. It drives me nuts.
Every episode she cries. I say that. It's not an Arrow episode if she's not crying.
Oliver, you just need to listen to me. She does that quivering cry.
Yep.
Like, she's like, oh gosh, man.
And I liked her character in the beginning. Like, when she was in the beginning, she was awesome.
Dude, season 2, you were like, she's fun. Like, she's quirky, and she has this little crush, but it's never going to work out because Oliver Queen's going to be with Black Canary. Nope.
Yep. And they're like, no.
They're all, you know what? The comics were wrong. And I'm not saying you have to be beholden to everything, but come on, like it's one of the best established relationships is Green Arrow and Black Canary. Yeah, you know what? We like this whiny Felicity chick more.
Well, they had her going. They had her going with Ray Palmer for a little bit, and I mean, they were doing things with her character that they could have just stayed away from that. But you know, whatever. I think there were people like, no, we want them together.
I guess like after a while, what does she do? Like if she's no longer like the love interest.
Well, she's their Oracle, right? That's who she is.
Well, you mean what was her name?
Overwatch.
Yeah, so there's just things like I don't know, man. Like I don't. Season 2, it was my favorite of Arrow. I still remember that ending. Like they're all running through the streets, like shooting arrows and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome, dude.
The first 2 seasons are the best. Yeah, the first 2 are the best of the show.
Dude, I still remember episode 2 of season 1 where he's just arrowing everybody, dude. I love it, dude. So good. So good.
Where Garret doesn't love the violence, Justin's like, give me more.
You know what? I like good action.
No, I agree.
Okay, so that's a great segue into Titans.
Yes, Titans.
Oh, boy.
All right, so Titans, we're up to episode, what was it, 5 now? 6? Was it 6 that we just watched?
Yes.
So,
well, 6 came out for everyone's scope of reference. We're doing this on Saturday, so 6 came out last night.
Yeah. So, man, where the violence is... I like action. I like to say that. Action is good. Unnecessary violence is what makes me, like, squirm, or makes me like, oh, is that like some of the bone breaky stuff? Like I like to call it. Like
they could chill with the sound effects.
Oh man, they're really graphic.
or the blood that's just like gratuitous, like blood. Like dang, you just punched the guy in the arm. Why did his face explode with blood? You know, like just blood. Like it fits in like 300. I get it. I like it.
Right.
You know, the style works there. Titans, I'm like, dang, Robin is just, you know.
Dude.
Like I said last, I say he's Snydering people, man.
Yeah, it is intense.
And I don't mean that as like insult. Like you always have to preface, I like Zack Snyder, I like his style, but like I don't know if that's Robin. Is Robin that guy? And even the trajectory he's on, like, you know, he's on this dark path, and especially this last episode with Jason Todd, there's a lot of that, like, you know, Batman's gonna make you a jerk and all this type of stuff. But you know, it's hard to separate what you know from a character through, you know, the comics.
It is.
And I have to always tell myself, especially yesterday, I was even like frustrated with like halfway through the episode of Jason Todd, and spoilers, guys. Like I'm just like, what the heck? He's like drinking beer and everything. I'm like,
yep.
I don't know if Jason Todd was kind of a punk character, but he wasn't like this like I feel once he was in Bruce's care, he tried, you know, and he was a little reckless, but was he like?
Right.
Just talking like, and a lot of it is like, you know, now how do people talk now? Just too many F-bombs, dude. I was like, dang, dude, like I get it.
He didn't really say them though. It was mostly Dick.
It was everybody, but at the end, dude, he was just dropping them everywhere, and I'm like, okay, Jason Todd, I kind of hope you get blown up, dude. You have a butthole.
Potty mouth.
Yeah, but I think that was their goal, was to make them like, you kind of understood.
Well, yeah. That last scene, that last big scene that he has is kind of like, wow. Even I was sitting there like, holy crap, they're really going there. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's picking fights in the club and all that stuff, and he was so cocky, and it was like, all right. But I wish when he was drinking the beer, like Dick would have grabbed it and said no, you know,
right?
Like, but it just felt like who's a hero. It doesn't feel like anyone's a hero. I think that's where I'm going right now with the show. I like it, but. Like, you guys gotta start acting like heroes.
Well, I mean, I think they all have heroic elements to them. Mm-hmm. But it's clearly a show that they're trying to show you each character's journey into finding eventually who they will be. That's how since I've been reviewing it, and I've been trying to pay really close attention to the character development and how they're going each episode for each character. And I think you see, like, this episode, the episode 6 that just came out, you see Robin kind of shifting now. Like, he's kind of, because of what happens with Jason Todd at the end, you kind of see he's kind of getting introspective, like, wow, you know. And he has that talk with I'm forgetting his name, the guy who at the carnival. Atlas Man?
The bodyguard.
They called him Atlas Man
Atlas.
in the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, So he's kind of having a talk with him, and he says, I mean, spoiler, sorry guys. He says to Dick, he goes, Bruce Wayne did right by you, and he said, well, he did the best he could.
Yeah.
Right. So you're kind of
that's a good line.
Right.
I haven't seen the newest episode, but that's a great line.
Yeah. So you're kind of seeing him now. He's kind of saying, all right, maybe I'm not as broken as I thought I was, and he's kind of shifting more towards maybe the Robin we all love, as opposed to this version we've seen in Titans so far. Which, trust me, Jason Todd will take that mantle nicely.
Yeah. So beyond some of that, like, there was some really cool stuff. Like, there was that scene in the Batcave where it shows, like, the Batmobile. And it's not like a Batmobile we've seen before. It's like, it was just like the front end. So I don't know if they fabricated just half of a car or whatever. But there was some really cool stuff in this episode. And it's like, man, this world is going to get bigger. Like, once these other shows happen. And I'm really curious as to when we see Batman, because we know Batman's going to show up in this thing. And it's probably going to be in the shadows. And it's probably not going to be Ben Affleck like
no, I would say probably towards the end of the season. I could see him making an appearance. Although this episode does reveal something about what he was doing that, that won't be there going forward. So we'll have less of that. I don't know how he's going to, I mean, it's Batman. He always finds a way, but I don't know how he's going to be involved, but it's definitely trending in that direction that he'll be there. They've dropped way too many references so far.
Yeah.
And of course we all want him there in some form or fashion, I think.
Yeah. And I think he can show up, like, I think the Batman character could exist on these shows and not be there all the time.
Right.
Especially now with the way they have set up the DC multiverse, right? There's the films, the movies, the old TV shows. Like, I think it all can kind of coexist, to be honest, like, at least in our brains. And obviously it's never going to make it to like we said, it'll never make it to film, but we can say, hey, there's a DC universe out there, and there's the DC app, and there's the CW shows, and there's the old stuff, and it can all kind of be a part of something. So that just for the reason of, like, hey, if we need to have Batman on this Titan show, don't tie our hands. Like, if he can show up and be like, sorry, or whatever, or whatever it is, and then take off. We don't need a Batman TV show, but it'd be cool to, like, see him pop up,
Yeah, he can have his place in there and play the role that they would need to tell this story without telling a Batman story unto itself.
Yeah.
Gotham is going to end with Batman, and then he's going to come to Titans.
There you go.
And it's the same little kid.
No.
It's him.
Yes.
He's like, I'm Batman.
And they don't address it at all. They just play it straight, like it's not a weird thing.
Yeah.
No. Like, this kid can act. We don't even need to age him up. Like, we just believe in this kid.
They said that he's going to be in the bat suit, so I don't know what
They
that even
did.
means. Are they going to age him up or what?
Come on.
I've bailed on Gotham so long ago that it really
So
doesn't.
did I.
It doesn't.
Oh man, I'm
going
to
to
watch
me
these
anymore.
There's only 6 episodes. I can watch that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can suffer through 6.
I gotta watch Time Traveling Bane, dude. I gotta see, like, what's up with that guy. I'm definitely gonna, like, just for giggles, dude. I'll commit to those last 6.
And I really want to see if they have Ben McKenzie grow a mustache for Gordon in the future after the time jump. Like,
He
that's
better,
what
dude.
I'll show up for the mustache.
Yeah, me too, dude. I'm there. Gotham. They should just Gotham.
What's with DC properties and mustaches? DC properties.
The people that need them never have them, and the people that have them shouldn't.
Right.
They're just adding mustache. It's like they're handing out mustaches, and the list of, like, who gets a fake mustache was wrong.
There was a
Just
memo. There was like,
Yeah.
Cavill, that was for Ben McKenzie, dude.
Oh,
dang it.
Ooh,
Well,
we know.
So,
Just go with it. I'm sure no one will notice.
yeah, but overall, Titans, I'm liking it. I think it's I'm kind of hot and cold on it. Like, these last few episodes have been getting better. The second episode was, like, I think the worst one for me. Just meaning it didn't do much for me. I just want to see these characters together, and I want to see this team form, and I want to see some of the history. And so I'm kind of excited for it to be over, just for the hint of where it's going, if that makes sense. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we got about 6 episodes left, right? It should be over probably in January.
Well, the next episode, the preview for the next episode looks really even darker.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to read too much into what they're trying to do. It's kind of obvious if you watch though, where they're going. Yeah. But I really have loved it, and I've liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
And I mean, like getting to review it again has been great for Batman on Film. I've really enjoyed being able to really look at the show and not just be like, it's a show and I'm watching it. And great. But I think the one character who we haven't seen much of yet is Beast Boy.
It's light on the Beast Boy.
Yeah, it's a little light on the Beast Boy stuff. So I'm hoping as the season goes on, we get to see more of him. My guess is that he's a little bit more expensive because of the CGI you have to do with him.
Right.
So maybe that's why we haven't seen as much of him yet. I don't know.
Yeah. I think they should just use some birds too. Bird CGI is probably cheaper than tiger CGI. Like make a bird.
Yeah, don't have to go tiger all the time.
Yeah, like, make a little
sparrow.
Let's get a less expensive animal in here.
We'll make him a sparrow, and he won't be, be able to do much of anything.
There's tons of like for work monkeys in Hollywood, dude. Just spray paint them with that weird animal spray paint they got, and let them run loose, man.
They're good to go. It's fine.
What are they missing? You guys are missing out, dude. They already have a Gorilla Grodd made over at CW.
They do.
My gosh.
Just turn them green. Right? Just like program it to just walk around like that. That wouldn't be hard. I don't know why. I don't know. Just borrow it, right? It's made. It's
but
out.
I definitely could use more Starfire.
Yeah.
I love her character, and I love the way the actress portrays her character. I love the way they went with it because I wasn't sure how they were going.
Right.
And what they've done has been incredible. So that's the one character where every week I'm like, all right, where's she going to be on? Because I want to see.
I have a feeling they're going to have an episode that's really devoted to her because she has to find out her alien heritage stuff.
Yeah.
When she started talking, was it the episode 2 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. And she does a really good job slipping into dialects. Like when
she pulls it off well.
Russian, so like it seems so natural. It's like, okay, well let's what is her backstory, man? Like how did she get here? Like we gotta see a little bit of that.
And then she understood the language that when they were in the storage unit, when she was obviously before she lost her memory.
That's what I was talking about. Like she just kind of it didn't feel fake. It felt real.
Not at all.
Like, okay.
Not at all.
She did a good job with it, and I'm in the same place. That's the character that I've enjoyed the most, and I was really kind of prepared not to because it didn't feel like Starfire to me, but this is a good version of this Starfire for this show.
Yeah,
and the actress pulls it off, and I guess that's kind of where I am with the show in general. I didn't think this was going to be for me. I didn't get the app right away, and then talking to you guys and reading some stuff online, I'm like, all right, I'm going for it. Got the app, put it on, and I think I was like texting you guys while I was watching the first episode. I'm like,
you were.
Oh my god, oh my gosh, they're really doing this? Like this is insane. The alley scene with Robin, I was like,
yes.
What? No, what is happening? But like, because like you said, I'm not huge on the graphic violence, but like, it works for this show. I feel like they do go over the top a little bit, and it's sort of when it feels like, oh, hey, we're gonna look how cool we're gonna be. Look how tough and edgy we are, and like the F-bombs are like that for me too. It just kind of falls flat. But I've really liked the show more than I thought I would. I thought I was gonna be totally opposed to it, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah,
that's my one main that I will agree that one main critique about using the F word. Sometimes it does seem really forced.
Yeah.
It's like we get it. Okay.
We get the joke. You don't have to keep telling it. It's like when my 6-year-old hears a joke at school and he brings it back and he keeps telling it over and I'm like, I got it, buddy. That was a good one. Let's put it away for later now. Like we in the same place with the F-bombs, man. Like I get it. You're grown ups. You use dirty language, but we don't have to do it all the time, right? Like it could be a once in a while thing.
But I think my biggest issue, and this, I just feel like, man, if Superman was on the show, would Superman be dropping F-bombs too?
Yeah,
you know,
bum me out.
Because I just feel like heroes should be portrayed a certain way, and even in the comics, they're starting to, like, there was their latest issue of, I think Justice League comes out next week, and Batman, they're insinuating the F-bomb. They do the censored version of it, and I'm like, come on, man, like it makes me uncomfortable when
once they showed the Wang, once they showed the Bat Wang, it opened the floodgates.
Everything.
Like, that was it.
We're going all out. And it's, for me, it's not like I don't always have perfectly clean language in my personal life. Like, it's not like I am like morally opposed to a curse word, but
there's
but like
time and a place.
Yeah, and it should fit. It should fit these characters. Like
Exactly.
Batman is like probably the most intelligent person on the planet in DC Comics. I think he would have a more intelligent way of expressing his feelings or thoughts without slipping into curse words. And it's fine for other characters.
Yeah.
I just don't know that it fits Batman.
Yeah.
And it's like Superman, I would never want to see Superman swear because he's such a goody-goody, right? Like, and if there's a story, there's something happens that's so extreme that it elicits F-bomb out of Superman, and it's like, that's the point. Like, this thing is so messed up that even Superman just had a swear. Then, okay, it makes sense for the story. But when it's just there to be edgy, it's like gross. We don't need it.
Like the couple times they used it in BVS, like when Batman says it, it was warranted. I mean, you have this big doomsday looking thing at you.
Right.
You know, I think I might say that
Doomsday
one.
looked awesome.
Right. We have to get one shot in every show.
Just ask
it never
always.
failed, every show. But no, but that's what it worked there. And
Yeah.
I agree with you. And Titans sometimes it's just a little much. I'm kind of like, all right, guys, we get it. Leave it alone.
We have a quota.
Right. Well, it's like
We are
when you
not
hear
edgy
some,
enough this episode.
Some like 12 or 13-year-old kid in the mall swear, and you're like, yeah, it's all right. You're trying to do a thing. I'm not
Right.
a little kid anymore. Like, all right.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like.
So, yeah. So I feel like they can take those down a little bit. So
Just 5 minutes of Batman on profanity.
yeah. So overall, like this Jason Todd episode, through the middle of it, I was getting frustrated, but towards the end, I understood, what they are doing with Jason Todd. I just wish they would have, they could have used Dick to be a little more a brother, even though he just met the kid. But like, hey, knock it off with you ain't drinking anything. Take the beer from,
Right.
like, do you talk like this all the time? I don't know, man. There's a little bit of me like, come on, I want Dick Grayson to be that figure, and
Yeah.
he seems more like not the encourager, but just indifferent, like, oh, whatever.
Well, he does. He has the one moment towards the end after you have the flashback scene.
Yeah.
He has the one moment where he's talking to him, and he says to him, "You want my advice?" And then he goes into I'm not gonna say what he says, but
Yeah.
he goes into kind of this thing towards him, and it seemed like he heard him. Like the facial expression that Jason Todd was giving him was kind of like he heard him. Now, what happened after that, I maybe threw that all away, but
Yeah.
still, like I felt like some of that got in, and that was the moment where I really said, okay, he's starting to realize who he is, and Jason Todd is kind of a reflection of that in this.
Yeah.
And that's why towards the end, I think we saw a little bit of a shift in Dick Grayson. Obviously, we don't know. We'll see going forward, but that's my take, and I'll write it up and post it on BOF soon.
So,
So everyone will see that.
There was some fun Easter eggs. They mentioned Two-Face.
Yes.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't. That's the one thing. I wish there was a more like familiar villain on this show, and again, spoilers. Like the main kind of villain in the flashback was Tony Zuko's son,
Right.
and they mention like, hey, this acid that is used on some of these crimes that were committed is the Maroni like calling card, and they're like, these people, it was the same acid that used to burn Dick Grayson's parents like
Right.
ropes. They're all they said, did they say Harvey Dent or Two-Face?
Dent.
They said Dent. Okay, yeah, so Harvey Dent, and then so this is what disfigures people, and so Tony Zuko's son had his face. It was like the reverse of Two-Face. It was like he was on the other side, and so it was what'd they call him, the Melter or something like that?
They called him Melting Man.
Yeah, Melting Man.
Well, that's what. Which is kind of weird. I mean, there is a Melting Man in DC, but it's not
Right.
this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
So-
kind of like this kind of hey, here's a guy from the comics, but not really like
Right.
whatever. It didn't take away. It was just like, oh, I want to see some name brand characters. So
I'm wondering whoever they're gonna be with Rachel's father.
oh, it's Trigon though.
Right, but that's what I mean. Are they going there? I don't know. Maybe we'll
I
see.
think so. Towards the end, yeah.
So he's obviously the main villain of the season, I would assume.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what they do in all the DC shows anyway. Like you had Savitar on Flash, and you have
Yeah.
you had what was the one on Arrow that Neil McDonough played? I forget his name
Oh,
on the show.
shoot, I can't.
but him.
Yeah, that guy. This guy.
Yeah, like every year, or whether it was Malcolm Merlin, or whether, you always have an underlying villain through every DC show for the season. So maybe we'll see other guys pop up. I thought that this would have been a good place to have Black Mask in this show.
Yeah.
But obviously now they're doing him in a movie, so I don't know if they would do that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But
yeah.
this show,
Damien
I
Dark,
think,
sorry. Damien
Yeah,
Dark.
Damien Dark. There we go. Yeah. So that's who, we always have that one guy, that one villain who maybe others pop up during the season, but he's the through
Deathstroke,
line.
man. Deathstroke's such a Titans character.
Oh, totally.
Yes, Deathstroke would be great.
Yeah.
Justin,
We'll
you said you have been doing some rereading of Death in the Family to
Yeah.
prime you for this Jason Todd.
So I read that and I was like, okay. I watched the episode, so I was like, I'm gonna finish up. I want to not finish up, but revisit Death in the Family, because Bill had his article about a week ago and he took it down. But he was just kind of saying, hey, here's some stories that were overrated that people celebrate a lot, and I understand where he was going with it. I think he just decided to take it down because I don't think people understand what he was saying. But one of the things he did say was Death in the Family is kind of an overrated story. There's some ridiculous things in there, and I wanted to look at it and read it again and be objective with it. And because sometimes you can be like, no, this is my favorite thing because it's Batman. And so I read it again, and I just finished it up last night. I was reading it on the DC Universe app. Go get it today. I think it's worth it. But in my hand now I have my graphic novel. It has some nice yellow pages and whatever, and the price on it was $4.95.
Oh, is it like I have that same one. Like
Yeah.
it's at my buddy's house now, but it's like when it first came out and it was like the first trade, and it wasn't on the premium paper or anything yet. It's like almost newsprint.
Oh yeah, and so it's beautiful. It has a nice, smell them floppies is what I like to say. So as I read through it, the biggest, I guess, the most contentious thing that Bill brought up was the Joker being made a representative of Iran. He was, he had
The
diplomatic,
UN ambassador?
yeah, and he had diplomatic immunity, and thought that was silly. And I mean, it is silly in the idea that the Joker is, but you think about, this was written in 1988, 87, and the world was a different place, and
Right.
it's written as it's 80s comics, and that's when comics started to change a little bit. You have Watchmen and you have Dark Knight and stuff like that. What Jim Starlin wrote this, and I think it was pretty appropriate for the time. But I was when I was reading, I was like, how would this translate? And obviously we're Batman on film. How would this translate to film? Would it come off goofy? Would it come off like as forced or anything like that? And I was like, man, I think it would actually work really well on film, because you'd be like, what? Because it sounds something crazy. Like, this is something like an enemy of the world would do. Like, let's nominate this crazy villain as our ambassador. And you're just like, our hands are tied, because the whole thing is like, even Superman's in there. I think that was another problem. Like, now Superman's in there, but I look at it as that's that world that's been established. Like, Superman's a part of this world, and he doesn't always show up, but he's here because they are like, hey, we know Batman's gonna lose his mind over this. You better be here to
Right.
to restrain him. And Batman even throws a punch at him because he's so angry. And you're like, what the heck, Batman? Like, what are you thinking? He's so angry about this. And they don't know that Joker just killed his partner. He's dealing with this, like, this is crazy. Plus, this guy just killed my partner. What is going on? We have to stop him. And the whole situation with, I think, the Joker being the ambassador is way out of like left field, but I think it works for the story.
Well,
I don't
yeah.
know. What do you guys think?
Well, they're telling a story. That part of this story is told on a global stage. So, I mean, it's interesting. And I think we think of the Joker as being the Joker, right? Like, he is this character that's bigger than is almost like more than human in his persona. But at the end of the day, it's still a person, right? Like, so you think of this, like, this country, if they wanted to do something that would, be threatening on a global stage to have this person take that role, then this is like international politics. I think that's why Superman's appearance makes sense, because if it's something that's threatening on a global level, Superman acts at a global level, so he would be there. Probably, Batman has a reason for being there because it's his primary villain, but like Superman's the character that functions on a global level in this world, so his presence makes sense for that reason.
Yeah, and I just love the situation it puts Batman in. He could start, and that's why Superman's there. He could start an international incident if he gets involved. And I think that's actually a real, like, in the world today, like, that's a real thing. Like, if you look at actual world politics, you can be the nail in the road that leads us to something terrible, and that's the political process can put bad people in places, and sometimes doing the right thing feels like the wrong thing. And Batman's even like, he even mentions that, like, I can do things that Superman can't, and I loved that tension that was there. In the end, Superman did what Batman kind of thought he would do, and he ends up being super helpful because Joker was going to kill everybody.
Right. And it's like, oh man, we shouldn't let this happen. That seems like that would be a bad thing for Joker to kill everybody. So let's stop him.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of corny, like Superman sucks all the gas in. He's like, I gotta go get rid of this gas. So there's that part of it, But I think it still holds up as a story because, again, when a story is written, when was it written, who was it written for, and how the characters like interacting with this. And I think in this story, it really, I think it worked really well. And you also think about like how this was set up. Is it, we want to say it was a stunt. Of course it was a stunt. Doesn't mean it was a bad story. And the story was, the whole point of the story was, let's do something to this character. And hey, you guys get to vote. You guys aren't liking this Robin. Okay, let's get rid of him. And it was, a lot of the violence is off panel. You just have the Joker with the crowbar. Right. Which creates you to make the moments yourself. But
it's like Nolan violence.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's so effective. I think it's so much more effective that way. When you find a way to show and make the reader or the audience feel the violence without like punching them in the face with it, it really lands for me.
In Garrett's world, he just kept tapping him with the crowbar and put him in timeout.
Like nudges, nudge, nudge, nudge. Why you no move?
But it really did. It broke my heart, man. Because he's looking for his mom, and he finds this lady who is his mom, but she betrays him.
Right.
In the end, because she's not a nice person. It seems out. And
there's a lot of that bit just reminds me. I need to go back and reread it, but there's so much good in the writing in that story, and there's some cheese, and it clearly worked. It was supposed to be a publicity stunt. It was an effective publicity stunt. It was national news, right? International news probably, but there are some really good bits of writing, and I think overall it's really effective. And so one of the ways I think we judge storylines like this is, did it have long-standing implications, or was it a pure stunt where after it's done, it's like it never happened and it's done and over? And clearly, like, Jason Todd was dead for a really long time.
Yeah,
right. Like, it had long-standing implications and ramifications in Batman as a character in the universe, and it got us a new Robin. Like, there's so many storylines that came out of this that I think it's solidly a classic. But it's okay to go back and look at the classics and say, yeah, there are flaws there, and we should be able to acknowledge them without people getting all up in arms about it.
Yeah. So it definitely I guess my final verdict on it was, I don't think it's overrated. I think it's a great drop in the Batman story catalog. Like, I feel like it's one, if you're going to read Batman, it's part of that narrative. Like, I wouldn't skip over it. You definitely need to read it, and I think it helps to set up a lot of who Batman's character is. And even he questions, like, did I make it the wrong decision bringing Jason into this? Like, is he ready for this? Like, is he emotionally okay right now? And he's not. And so tying back into Titans, you see that, like, big time.
Right.
Like,
Right.
so
Yeah, I mean, that if if this is the point that they're taking from, the inspiration they're taking from for this Jason Todd, then you can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Like that's, like this. I mean, I know he started out when they first wrote Jason Todd, he was really like a lot like Dick Grayson, and then Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, and they kind of changed.
Dude, he was exactly Dick Grayson.
Right?
Wasn't he like? Am I remembering this wrong? Was he like basically like blonde, Dick Grayson? I feel like he was blonde.
He was redhead.
Redhead. Okay.
Yeah. So that they changed him to be a little more edgy, and then people hated it, right? That's what the whole thing was. Like they didn't like it. I don't know. I think I've always liked The Death in the Family, but I usually take these storylines for what they are. But it did have, like Garret said, it had long lasting implications. I mean, you got Jason Todd was dead for a while. You got Tim Drake, and then a lot of things changed in the comics after that in Batman. So, overrated? I don't know. I think it's rated exactly where it should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
I think it's a good story, and I was of the mind that, Jason Todd staying dead should have been a thing, but to be honest, I really like the Red Hood when he's used well in stories.
Yeah,
it almost is like it's it's weird when he's back from the dead, or he never really died because he was taken to the Lazarus pits and all that stuff. Whatever. I kind of like his character when he shows up. I like the dynamic of all the Robins together, and so on that note, I like that part, and I don't think it changes the emotional resonance of the story. It was still something that went through. I think it kind of sucks that every Robin's kind of died now, so there's a weird trope, like Damien died, came back. Tim kind of died, but he disappeared into a weird dimension or whatever, came back. It does kind of get tiresome. Like, do they all gotta die? Like when they're writing, like, we can't kill Robin again, guys. It doesn't have the impact anymore.
Can we kill someone else today?
Yeah.
Can we kill a new guy?
Yeah, like
who else could we kill?
Kill
that would
Alfred?
have
No, don't kill Alfred. So
get Jimmy Olsen in here. It's fun to kill him.
And there you go. So, anyways, that was good. So I wanted to look back on that. So, thank you guys for being a part of this episode. It was fun.
It was
fun little episode, fun little drop in the BOF universe. So before we close out, you guys, Eric, how can people get some more of you, man?
As Justin so greatly put in the beginning of the episode, I do cover the Suicide Squad comic for Batman on Film. You guys can read me there. I am also reviewing Titans for Batman on Film, so you guys can read. Right. Yes, you guys can read each episode review. They're all up now. Episode 6 review will be up soon, depending on when you listen to this. So yeah, and you can always find me and tweet at me at finally33.
All right, Garret.
Yeah, I as you mentioned, review a couple comics for the website. You can see my Teen Titans reviews there. I read it, so you don't have to.
It's been a terrible book, man.
Man, I really hope they do better. It's been rough, but I'm sticking with it because someone has to. And then Injustice versus Masters of the Universe. I'm loving that book. I encourage everyone to read it and check out my reviews for that. And I will be starting Justice League reviews for the site. Other than that, you can follow me on Twitter. It's Garret, WATO at Twitter, and the WATO stands for What Are the Odds? If you want to check out, if you're interested in fantasy football, you can check out our fantasy football podcast account at WATOFFB on Twitter and Instagram. If you like football and Batman like I do, you will probably like most of my tweets because that's about all I talk about.
Yeah, and give their, if you're into fantasy football, give their podcast a listen. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Can I ask you guys a question? How is the BOF football league going?
You might want to ask Garret that question.
I'll be quiet.
You know what? I've had a ton of fun with it this year. Eric kind of had the idea last year to pull it together, and I'm so glad he did because it's been really rad to interact with a lot of the people that I know follow the show and contribute to to the website. It's been a blast. Football wise, it's been a pretty good season for me. I'm top of our division. Eric has had less success with
Yes,
it.
I've had a lot less success, but I've loved doing it. I mean, everyone's been great so far. I haven't had any major problems. I mean, the people who don't know, I'm the commissioner of the league, so any problems that come up, I'm the one that has to deal with them. But I really haven't had any. I have a beard right now, actually. It's this fantasy football season has forced me to grow a beard. That's
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to recognize me. That's why. God, it's been bad. Anyway, but no, I've enjoyed doing it, and there's talk about us expanding maybe or doing a separate league so we can have more people involved. So we'll discuss that when the season's over, because I want to make sure everything happens fine this year and everything goes smoothly with the payouts and all of that. But yeah, Justin, I know you're not a huge football fan, but next year, if you want to get in,
Can Green Lantern be on my team?
Of course.
Yes. Sure. Yeah, I don't know how many points he'll get you per week, but I feel like it's like a write-in candidate. I've actually had some people that follow, What Are the Odds, reach out to me because I've mentioned the Batman League on our podcast a couple times, and I've tweeted about it a couple times, and they're like, "I like Batman. There's a Batman fantasy league. What
Good.
And they weren't necessarily familiar with Batman on Film. I was like, yeah, dude, you should. I think we're gonna do it again next year and build it up. So reach out.
That's pretty
if you're
great.
looking for another league, that'd be rad.
Yeah, it would be. And yeah, this was kind of the test season just to make sure everything would go smoothly, and it has. I even have a charter. I actually wrote out a long charter, and everyone has to sign it before they join.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
it's important to establish the rules
Yes.
because fantasy football players are always looking for something a loophole or if you could put a guy that's not really on IR, NIR, the type of trades you can make. Everyone's always looking for an advantage. So having the rules laid out very particularly is important. Plus, we got some sweet Batman on Film Fantasy Football League T-shirts. Man,
Yes.
they're super awesome.
That's
like
about
one
as
of my
far
favorite
as
shirts.
the involvement I can get with it.
Yeah, Justin, of course, hooked us up there. That was nice.
Design the hell out of it.
And the
They're great.
logo, he did the logo.
The logo is sweet.
There you go.
It's really cool. That's one of the shirts I wear to the gym. I get a lot of comments on it.
Nice. They're like, what? You're nerdy, but you're not nerdy, but you're so nerdy.
Like, but jock nerds? I'm like, no, man. Like, fantasy football is like, it's like Dungeons and Dragons for jocks.
Thank
It
you.
is nerdy. It is nerdy in and of itself.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I could go a whole tangent on why it's nerdy, so we can.
you know what, you guys probably need to do a wrap-up show for that once the season's over. How it went.
I'm
Get
in.
some-
I'll do it.
yeah, get some
100%.
guys and
That'd be
you,
sweet.
y'all can.
Hopefully, Bill will come on that one.
Yeah, that one. Bill needs to be on that show. I definitely will be like, huh? Who?
No,
I'm like, is Bo Jackson still playing?
Well, Bill, Garret, Pete, and myself, I believe, are the 4 guys who write for the site who are in the league.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah, you got to get Pete in there too.
the 4 of us, we could do a 4-man podcast on that when the season's over. And the one thing I wish, if we could do this live and like, have call-ins and have the other guys call in, that would be great.
Oh man, that'd be fun.
That'd be
And
awesome to do.
Bill's Mr. Football, so yeah, he's
He was a coach.
I mean, lifetime profession of maybe the sport was a huge part of his life.
Not that we're putting him on blast right now or anything at all. Not
No.
that we're
But
unless
he needs to be
doesn't
on that show. Is what you're
unless
saying.
Yes, he needs to be on the
doesn't
show.
want to show up because I beat him so handedly. But that would be true for Eric too. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think you played me. Well, this weekend you played me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. All my guys now are playing well, so we'll see what happens.
Nice. All right. Enough of this football talk. What do you guys? And you can find me at J_Rocka on Twitter. And if you want to check out the Let's Go podcast shows, you can do that at letsgopodcast.com. We just put a comic show out, kind of talked about Stan Lee and his legacy, and I thought it was a pretty okay show. So you can go check that out over there. Follow Batman on Film on Twitter at Batman on Film. You can also follow the Batman Podcast Network, where we kind of tweet out some of the shows that are on our network, and we're adding new ones. So if you have a Batman focused podcast and you would love to be on our network, hit us up at BatPod Network on Twitter, and we will put your show on there. As long as you meet our Batman criteria, you will be a part, and so we'll make that happen. And so again, please leave us a great review on the iTunes podcast store, that would be fantastic. 5 stars are always great, and a nice little comment, maybe a poem, maybe something akin to Prince's 1989 Batman album. Like, let us know how much you love Batman on Film. And so we thank you so much for listening. Again, you guys, Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive.
The dadgum original.
There you
go. That was my Minnesotan one.
There you go. We need a Minnesotan one. So, all right, guys. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.
Hey now. You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, batmanpodcastnetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? Go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jet on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/jet.batmanonfilm. Email Jet via jet@batman-on-film.com. For Jet, Rick, Justin, and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.